Hello and welcome to Educational Specifications Virtual Workshop number 1 for Tonka Verde Unified School District, Emily Gray Junior High School, and Tonka Verde High School. I'm Molly Smith, your planning consultant and planning lead from Think Smart Planning, Inc. My email address is here on the slide, molly@thinksmartplan.com, where you can email me if you have any questions. I'd like to start with the schedule we'll be following for these virtual workshops. Here you can see the schedule that was in your invitation. We are at Virtual Steering Committee Workshop number 1, which will be distributed on October 9th and will be due on October 20th. You'll have 11 days to fill out the information, complete the surveys, and watch the workshop. I wanted to start by explaining the project description that we're working on. The Arizona School Facilities Board has awarded Tonka Verde Unified School District with additional capacity or space for an additional 284 students in the 7th through 12th grades for a total of 30,675 gross square feet. Our goals of this planning effort will be to identify the current uses and capacities of both the junior high and the high school, to identify the long and short-term facility goals of each school in order to support teaching and learning, and to identify how the current budget will be prioritized to satisfy the current growth at each school, and to be the basis for the master planning for the future priorities. Obviously, we will identify many more goals than we will have money to complete in this first project. However, that should not limit us in our thinking. We should think in terms of the big picture and identify future projects for future bond initiatives and future funding by the Arizona School Facilities Board. Let's start the process by talking about educational specifications. Educational specifications are really the recipe book for design. We as a community identify our educational goals. We identify facts of our facilities and our community. We identify what functional needs we have to support teaching and learning. We brainstorm concepts for design, which we will then communicate to our design team. And we create a map to success, which is the educational specification document. The document is obviously based around community vision. This community vision is what you will be a part of. The overall process generally consists of 4 workshops with activities in between: input, tours, gathering information, and documentation. Given that we are completing the process virtually, we'll be combining some of the activities together. For instance, we'll be combining workshop 1 and 2, looking at learning context and learning process. We'll also be doing input and interviews in the process after we complete this first workshop. Educational specifications are based on our steering committee work. We each bring in input from the community, research of our peers, we identify best practices, and we look at prior work that's been done around the country. From this, we create our teaching and learning plan for how we want to approach teaching and learning in Tonka Verde. These ideas then are distilled into the educational specifications, or the recipe book for design, which we then hand over to our design professionals, our architects, to create the right environment for learning in Tonka Verde. First presentation today is based around trends in teaching and learning. These are ideas that have been presented by educators, and designers in the field of schools facilities design throughout the country. This presentation is based on Dr. Jaime Dial's of Park Hill School District ideas and supported by Michelle Chavy from Hollis and Miller. The presentation is called Rethinking Education and Environments to Empower Modern Learners. Firstly, we have to think about our old habits. When we think about schools, we think about how we went to school. What were the classrooms like when we were there? Or maybe we think about the classrooms that we teach in today as an educator. We need to open our minds to unlearn some of those ideas and think about what we really need for teaching and learning in the 21st century. What will our students need as skills for them to be successful in the modern economy and in the modern world? We need to overcome our old habits, uncovering and shifting entrenched ways of thinking, effectively supporting change and discovering new ways to connect and collaborate. While working on school design projects, we often see that taking the path of least resistance is what most people would like to do. Obviously, we would like to think about how can my classroom be bigger, more storage, more windows, those sorts of things. And rethinking how schools really should support teaching and learning is a little bit more of a difficult path. We may need to take the path that is not of least resistance. What does that mean? It means that sometimes great intentions are only that, and in the face of challenge, we do face fight or flight, and fight or flight kicks in, and our habits are hard to break. We need to look at the pedagogical shift that our students are undergoing now, especially during COVID-19, and will undergo in the future. The emphasis will be less on the content that students learn in school and more the concepts and skills that students learn. We, as the planners of this project, will need to undergo a shift in learning. We'll need to unlearn our old thinking, but we can progress into deeper learning by letting go of old ideas. As we let go, we recognize what we lost. We acknowledge that there may be some discomfort or uncertainty in our neutral thinking, but it is the beginning of new opportunities for new efforts. So how do we move forward? We recognize that psychological safety is often a priority, but we have to accept that some ideas that we present will be failures. We have to rethink our assumptions of what is critical. And we need to build challenging, rigorous, and supporting communities for our new ideas. Curriculum for the next generation will be very different from what many of us saw while we were in school. Experience will be central to learning, and knowledge will be distributed through a community of learners. The learning quality will be the measure of success. Generation Z, or those born after 1997 and are under the age of 25, are different than our former generation. This is the first tribe of true digital natives who were born into technology. The economy has had a huge impact on our young people. Our young people have been used to instability and have a drive to be nimble. In fact, 70% of teens are working entrepreneurial jobs today. Students have a portfolio lifestyle. Students are building throughout their junior high and high school years a portfolio that they will take into their careers both in high school and in the working world. In fact, 60% of teens expect to have multiple careers by the time they're 30. 47% of teens say they're an expert at something already. And 75% of teens say there are ways of getting a good education besides going to college, yet 66% still plan to go. This is a we, not a me generation. This new generation needs an updated approach. Now we'll be looking at some learning trends associated with the new generation of learning and the new ways of teaching and learning. One new idea is student-driven learning. Learning levels may be fluid. Students may be experiencing different pacing from student to student. Some may be going through material very quickly. Others may be taking a deep dive into materials that they are working on. And the student environments need to allow for that choice and adaptability. The teacher is the guide on the side and not the sage on the stage. Learning environments need to be resource-rich and accessible to all. Student environments need to provide spaces where it's safe to fail, to create, to tinker, to try out new ideas, to learn from those ideas and relearn. Another learning trend that we talk about is knowledge distribution, where experiences are central and knowledge is distributed across a community. Teaching and learning will be authentic, based on exploration learning, where students learn hands-on. And community connections, of course, are extremely important, with support for students in the areas of healthcare and mental and social and emotional learning, in the areas of athletics and physical fitness, in the areas of fine arts and teamwork. Another learning trend is that students will be gaining skills over content. What are these 21st century skills? Here are the 4 C's that are frequently mentioned and talked about. Communication, the sharing of thoughts, questions, ideas, and solutions. Collaboration, working together to reach a goal, putting talent, expertise, and smarts to work. Critical thinking, being able to look at problems in a new way and linking learning across many subjects and disciplines. And creativity, trying new approaches to get things done, equaling innovation and invention. Future-ready skills that our students will take with them into their post-secondary education or into the working world are leadership, entrepreneurship, communication, digital literacy, global citizenship, problem solving, team working, and emotional intelligence. Students in the future will need to have a choice for their voice, whether that be giving a presentation, artwork, or theater presentation. The true digital native generation are the most connected, educated, and sophisticated generation in history. And they don't just represent the future, they're creating it today. Learning happens beyond the walls. Learning needs to be a global mindset. And the benefits of language learning is also an idea that students in the next generation will be embracing. The benefits of language learning for youth are test scores and life skills and cognition. For adulthood, college success, higher earnings and employability. For mature adults, healthier brain and better recovery and longevity. Learning environments can support all of these skills and ideas by being flexible and multimodal, allowing students choice for learning in both individual pursuits small group, and large group pursuits. These learning environments must employ adaptability. Curriculum will need to be relevant and ever-changing. Self-assessment will be used daily for student-driven course corrections and modifications. And adaptable teaching and learning environments will need to support these. Adaptable and personalized student learning environments involve students having a choice as to where they study and work and collaborate, and how and what tools they use to do so. These learning environments need to be empowering and nimble. Students need to be able to individually utilize technology at will with small groups. They need to be able to reorganize furnishings into flexible and adaptable groupings. Thinking outside the building means that we think about how we take teaching and learning outside of the school building and into the community and the larger world that students experience. Right now in the COVID-19 world, students have had to have a mindset shift about how kids teach and learn and engage with the community. And what does that mean outside of school? Now let's work on exercise number 1, learning context. Learning context specifically recognizes and reinforces the need to tailor the design of the educational institution to its unique situation, to its unique location and community. What we'll be looking at is assets, challenges, opportunities, and culture. We would like for you to think under assets about the features of Tonka Verde Unified School District and the current junior high and high school programs that are working and which should be retained in the new design. We would also like for you to identify the challenges or the features at Tonka Verde Unified School District and the current junior high and high schools that are not working and need to be fixed. We'll also want you to identify opportunities, the features that may already exist at your schools but can't be taken advantage of the way you're currently configured or operating. And the culture, the features that are unique to Tonka Verde Unified School District, Tonka Verde as a community, and the junior high and high school age groups. For exercise 1, we have part A and part B. You may choose to answer the questions for only the junior high school, or only the high school, or both, as you see fit. For the junior high, please click the link below to take the Learning Context Survey for the junior high. Click on the link or copy the link and paste it into your browser. Complete the SurveyMonkey survey and then come back to this slide where you left off. If you're taking the Learning Context Survey for only the high school, use the SurveyMonkey link below to do so and come back to this slide when you're finished. Remember, you can take both of the exercise 1A and B if you so choose. Learning process, introduction and video. Please click on the link below to access the video and proceed to the next slide when you are finished. This is a presentation by Sir Ken Robinson, Bring on the Learning Revolution. Use the link below to access and come back to this slide when you're finished. For exercise 2, learning process, we'll be talking about curriculum content, instructional methods, and assessment strategies. Really, we're talking about how learning happens. The reason that we talk about learning process in the educational specifications process is that we want to focus on how we will be delivering content, what methods we'll be using, and what assessment strategies we'll be using. And the environments for teaching and learning need to support those, not get in the way. So it asks the question, what's the desired learning product or outcome? We'll be asking 3 parts. Curriculum. In other words, what should the content be like in the future that we'll be teaching the students? What instructional methods will we be using? And what assessment or feedback methods will we be using? For exercise 2, all groups, please click the link below and take the learning process survey. Copy the link into your browser or click on it, take the survey, and then return to this slide to continue the presentation. And this is the end of virtual workshop number 1. Thank you for participating. I'm Molly Smith from Think Smart Planning. My email address is below if you need to email me for any questions or comments. Thank you again.